Hello, welcome back. This is Jeff Byers. This is Annie 150, and this is part 7. And we are working on our low poly battle axe. And we are now at the final stages of UV mapping. And what we're going to do is we need to look at the materials that we're going to have. So let's make sure we have everything set up right. So let's go ahead and look at the materials, and we have two separate materials here on the blade itself. So we got a polished blade down to a razor sharp edge, and then we have a patinaed piece of metal. Okay, that looks older and worn, and the only thing that's really been polished is that area there. So we'll need to have two materials, one for the polish and one for the patina. And then as we move down, we have the wood material. So we don't need to write these down because there's not very many of them. Okay, so we can basically use the same material that we have on here. We still have to make some rivet detail. We're going to model those and put those in real quick. So the rivet details we can share. We can put those on with the shiny edge. That'll match just fine. And then we have the wood that will the wood patina that you have on the handle, and then we have to have a leather strap material. So those are basically what we need to have. So there's not too many. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we have 5. So we're going to need 5 UDIM tiles, and that's how we set things up. So you just got to basically go in there and find out what your material list is and create one, and then you know how many materials you need to, or how many UDIMs you're going to need. Okay, so we're gonna break it all apart as far as the UDIMs go. Okay. Yes, you're going to be, it looks like you're going to be wasting a lot of space. Again, we discussed that earlier in part 6. So let's just continue with get this done. And so go to UV texture editor, and we're going to zoom out a little bit so you can see where we're at. Okay, so we've got these parts here. Let's go to edge mode, and you can see what we have these edges here. And I'm not sure if I want to weld those together, or excuse me, sew those together or not. It just doesn't. I don't know if that really makes sense to do that because we have a natural crease right here. But I suppose we could. Let's see what happens when we do, if we do that. Okay, select this as a UV shell, and let's go to edge mode and select it. Okay, so that needs to be rotated around, so let's go ahead and rotate that around. These are just rotated the wrong way. So let's go to and rotate this way, and then rotate this way, and let's move those like this and like this. There we go, and that should work. Alright, so let's get a little closer. Let's go ahead and weld these together. Here we go. Hit the W or Q key. There we go. It gets the manipulator out of the way, and we got that little piece right there. Is that connected to anything? No. Nope. Okay, so we don't want to do that. So go ahead and cut and sew and move and sew. Go ahead and click on this one, and cut and sew, move and sew. Alright, so that's kind of weird. And so we're going to go to the shell, and whenever you do cut and sew, you want to go into unfold and just unfold it. There we go. Just kind of relaxes it. Okay. Sometimes I hit optimize, I'd hit unfold again just to make sure that we got it just the way we want it, and then I'm going to rotate that just around and then see if we can get that aligned better. with the alignment tools here. Here we go. Align and snap. No, arrange. There we go. Orient shell. There it is. Okay. So let's do the next one here. I think these are pretty good. Yeah, those are good. So hit the Q key, get the manipulator out of the way, and select those. And cut and sew. Right? Same thing happens, you know, kind of bends a little bit. And don't forget any of these, because if you forget to select an edge, it will cause some issues. Move and sew. Alright, so we'll take that. Go to UV shell. Let's kind of rotate it ourselves by hand, manually, and then we'll click on Orient Shell the rest of the way. There we go. So that's great. It looks good. So let's take a look at the checkerboard. And let's see if we have any issues there. That looks like it's really nice. Turned out really great. Very happy with that. Okay. And the textile density looks pretty good, so we'll just stick with that, and we'll see what that is in just a minute, and we'll make sure everything's aligned with that blade. Okay. I'm okay with having a blade have its own UV map, a UV tile each side. It's fine, and I'm probably going to do that. So let's go to UV shell again. I'm going to turn that off. As much as I love the checkerboard, it's also as annoying to look at it for a while. So click on that. So we need to look at these textures now. So if we said that the material, we need a material that goes along here, and then this will be a separate material, we need to cut this piece here out. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to be very, very careful when I cut this. I'm going to go ahead and double click on it. It should go all the way to the end, hopefully, and it does. Okay. And it's important that we cut that and move that out of the way. So I'm going to go to cut and sew, go ahead and cut that. I'm going to do the same thing to this side over here. Select that one, double click on that one. That should go all the way down if we did things right. And we're going to go to cut and sew and cut on that one. Do the same thing to this guy right here. Shouldn't take too long. Okay. And we're going to go cut. Click on this, double click on that. And we're going to cut. There we go. Right click over the shell. And that will be a certain color. Remember, that'll be polished steel. You know, so we'll pull that out of the way. All right, that's really important. And wherever we put this, anything that has that material, we'll put in that layer, and that will be like polished steel or something like that. So those are all laid out just fine. We don't have to change anything. Okay, that's really important. We'll click on that one here and move that over. Okay. Alright, so we're setting these up as materials now. Okay, so we got that patina, alright? Got that patina. We have that patina, right? This is also patina. Okay, that's what this is. And then we've got the polished. Okay. So if this is patina too, these could share, you know, in this area here, because that will share the same material. So we could spread those out, you know. We could do these two here, we could do these two over here, and we could take this area here and place those right here if we wanted to, and then this area here could go on this side if we wanted to. Okay. Alright, so that's patinaed area. So if I click on all of those, that should all light up. And that's exactly what we want. Okay. And then the polished area are these guys right here. So the only thing we need to do now is to go ahead And we don't. This becomes the difficult. Do we model the rivets, like physically model the rivets on the low poly? Okay, and then texture them, or should we create the rivets on the high poly and bake the normal map on it? That's the conundrum that I have. I think we should do both. I think we should do a low poly rivet for the low poly, and then copy that and put it into the high poly, and then go ahead and add edge loops to it. I think that would be our best bet. Just kind of like how we've been doing things, kind of keep things consistent. I think that's important. All right, so let's go ahead and let's make those rivets. Again, a rivet that is, let's go ahead and close that for now. And we need to probably save our scene. Let's do that real quick. Okay, so scene saved. Alright, so here's our little guy right down here. Rivet. And rivets are small. They're very, very small. Very hard to see. So do we need to spend a lot of time on that? Probably not. And do we need to have, let's take a look at this right here. Do we need to have 20 subdivisions around? Probably not. That's kind of way overkill. So we'll do -90 on that. And let's go with something like 12. And that's even a lot still, but I think that'll be okay. And then we'll scale that down, scale that in, and let's move this out. And let's go ahead and keep scaling it. Okay, so let's take a look at what the rivet looks like. Okay, get an idea. And I don't think I have my my reference in here anymore because I imported all these in here, so I've got to kind of take a look at this again compared to the scale of everything. What is that scale? Okay, pretty small. We can beef it up a little bit, probably make it look a little bit more noticeable. I think I like that idea better. And so physical, that's good. I mean, the game engine can handle it. We're not like working with, you know, 5-year-old game engine. We're talking about Unreal. And that was kind of in the middle there. Maybe a little off to the top. Okay, so that needs to go down a little bit. There we go. And I kind of like that. Yeah, it's a little bit bigger. You can see it. It's not so big it looks like a toy, so that's one of the main things we have to watch for. Control D. Move that over here. And I don't think I'm going to Control D that until I get the high poly in there. Probably a good idea. And the other one is down right there. Okay. Right all the way down. Perfect. Okay, and then we have one on the strap, if I remember right. When it wraps around. Oh, I'm in the back, looks like. Okay. That's fine, because we can take these guys and select them in object mode. There we go. And duplicate. And we want that to they want them to stick out a little bit, not a whole lot. Okay, like that. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and Control D and move those this way. Alright, And this guy's in there by him lonesome, so we'll see. Here we go. Alright, so that's good, and that's very noticeable. And then we're going to take this guy right here, Control D, right? Move that down. And that's a little bit too big for the strap. So we'll scale that down a little bit, just so it fits on the strap a little bit better. There we go. And that'll be kind of right on there. Right on the end to hold it. That looks good. Push it in just a little bit. There we go. And then we got one at the bottom, it looks like. So Control D. There we go. Perfect. There we go. So that looks good. Alright, cool. So there's our rivets, front and back. I think that'll work pretty good. Just gonna make sure my placement is good on all these. I think it is. I think that's pretty good. Alright. Okay, so that is great. So these rivets, then we'll select them. All of them together. Zoom out a little bit. Alright. Okay, so now I'm going to copy, Control D, and we're going to put those in a layer, and we're going to call this High Poly Rivets. Okay. And save it. Alright, we'll turn that off for now. And these, I have selected all of them. Little bugger. Get in here. There we go. We'll get these two as well. There we go. Alright, so take those and we're going to go into UV. Okay. And we're going to go into the UV editor. Okay. And really, they're already mapped out properly, but except the round part. So I'm going to go to UV. Automatic. There we go. Alright, so those are all UV'd, and we just need to do a couple things. So the UV shell, click on the UV shell. There's going to be quite a few of these on top of each other, so we're just going to move those away from each other for just for now. Okay. And these will be the same type of thing. We'll just move that. And these will all be the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to marquee select those. Oh, it won't let me do that. Got to do one at a time. Okay. Okie dokie. Alright, so let's go in here and just start knocking this out real quick. Move and cut. And I'm not really caring too much about anything. I'm just gonna click on those and just knock that out. Moving so. So let's go in here to UV shell. There we go. That one's done. and just knock this out real quick. Edge, click on the edge, move and so, and then I can just go right down here and hit the G key and the G key. So this doesn't take long at all. This is how fast it can be. Just G key, G key, G key, G, G, and G. There you go. And G, G, G. There we go. And G, G, and G. Alright. Those are all done. Alright, so let's go back to shell. Let's select everything. Okay, that's a good idea. And then we're going to relax. Actually, whenever we remember the idea, the rule of thumb is once you move and sew objects together or edges together, you need to unfold. Okay, and what that does is it unitizes everything, and it spreads it out evenly, the UVs, and we're going to go into orient shells with those. There we go. Okay, so now those are all finished, completely textured, and so what we can do is go in here and just move them out of the way for now, because those are huge. Look, they're big. So let's go ahead and scale those down a little bit to a normal size at least. There we go. And okay, alright, so that's done. And so let's go into the whole thing. Let's see what we got so far. Alright, so we got these pieces down here. So I'm going to go into object mode here, and I'm going to hit the Q key, and I'm going to select everything. This is probably the best way to do it. Just, you know, we're packing stuff together, so we're kind of in the middle of packing now. So I'm going to get this full screen so it's easier to move around in. So I'm going to go into UV shell. We know that's the wood part. Okay, that is the wood. Do you want to put that first? Will that be the first one? Sure. Wood goes here. That's all the wood pieces. Okay. And let's make sure that we don't have anything going out. So I'm going to go ahead and scale that down a little bit. Okay, that looks good. And the next thing is, this is our strap, our leather straps. Let's do that next. Okay, Maya packed these itself, so that's okay. So let's go ahead and put those in there. Because Maya packed them itself, it was perfect. So I've got to go and hit the R key and just scale it down just a little bit, because it's so hard to get that laid in there that tight. Okay, all right. And so these guys will go in. Go in here with these guys right here. That's the polished area. Okay, that looks great. So we've got the wood, the straps, patina, and we've got the polish. Okay, let's go ahead and select these guys here, and let's move them around up here like that. And let's move this over here, move that around like that. And then we'll move this one around here, move that up here like that. So one thing we haven't done yet, that's going to get a little bit crazy here, is the textile density. We have not checked that yet. So let's do it on this blade, because that looks about right. I think that'll work. Let's see what the textile density is on that. So we're going to go under transform and go into get. It's 49.9. Okay, so let's go ahead and select one of the posts. So remember that 49. Right, it's 47. Those are close. And then let's take a look at one of these guys here. And that's really close. So those are all really, really close. They're so close. And if we look at it, if we go in here, I'm not going to mess with it. If we go in here and click on it, and you go in here and you look at it, it's impossible to see that 0.1 difference in that, and I think it looks fantastic. Everything looks great. Very happy with that. So we're good there. Alright, so click off, and I think we're good to go. I think we're ready to save this out, the texturing out. So I'm going to go in here, and I think we're ready to rock and roll with this thing. So let's go into object mode, click up here, and select everything. Alright, and we are going to now combine it. So now we're going to combine this piece. So combine it. Here we go. And we're going to go ahead and center pivot, delete by type history, and freeze transformations. And with that selected, we're going to go into snapshot, and we're going to do 4096 by 4096 to target. We have a different, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 UDIM tiles. So go 5 UDIM tiles, click on apply and close. Oh, we don't want to no. Let's go in here. We want to name it. Here we go. So I will probably just call it call this Battle Axe. Do not save it over top of the Dagger. That would be catastrophic. No, I think it'll be alright. We don't want to do it though. And this is 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we're ready to save. Apply and close. Yes. Okay, waiting for that. That looks good. Okay, so now we're all completely finished. So we're going to close that. Close this. And now we're going to zoom in here. And we are going to duplicate this. So Control D, that whole thing there. I'm going to go into select a new layer. And we're going to call this Battle Axe. Low poly tri. TRI. There we go. So we're doing the same thing we did with the Dagger. Okay, so we're going to turn that off. Okay, there's our original. Okay, low poly. Alright, so Battle Axe low poly. We should probably put it back in here again. Okay, Battle Axe low poly. It's all done. And we're going to go ahead and add selected objects. So we can turn that off and on. And we also, everything's done, everything's cleaned up. And when I go into UV, we can double check and make sure the UVs are right. That's correct. Okay. Another thing I'm going to do is just make sure I save my scene now right before I save this out separately. And this will be 13. There we go. And then we're going to go to File, Export Selection. Okay, OBJ Export. And we need to triangulate this. That's right. So we can't really export it out until it's triangulated. So let's go into, click off that one, click on this one. We need to triangulate this. That makes sense. Go to Mesh, Triangulate. There we go. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and center pivot, delete by type history, freeze transformations, go to File, Export Selection. Now we're ready. OBJ Export. And what do we call this? This should be called Substance Painter, and we'll just put in Battle Axe. Try low poly. Click Export Selection. Perfect. That's all done. Now what do we have left? So we turn that off, and we've got the high poly axe. Okay. We need the rivets in there. So that's got to be in there. So now we're going to work on the rivets. Okay. What do we need to do with rivets? Well, basically all we need to do is just add edge loops, right? Okay, so I'm going to do control, get all the rivets, and we'll just do them all at once here. Knock these out pretty good, pretty fast. Normally I would just do one and duplicate it over. You can still do that if you don't want to do this work. It's up to you. So that's probably what I'm going to do, is just duplicate it around, but it makes sense to me. But since we've already got these UV mapped, I'll just do it real quick, and it doesn't hurt to practice. All right, so select these two guys at the top, frame them. It's just as easy as this. Let's go into insert edge loop and just start inserting edge loops right here like that. And we can click on that guy right here, do the same thing. Alright, so what happens when we hit the 3 key? Okay. That's what I expected. Alright, so let's take a look at it. Click off and get the wireframe off. Can't really tell. That looks right. I don't see any issues or problems with that. I don't think it scaled down too much. I think we're okay. Alright, I think we're okay. So we'll do that. And we'll go just move down. It's pretty simple to do these. Get these back in object mode. Okay, oops, wrong way. Okay. Alright, those are good. Got some of these down here that are a little smaller. Click on those. And hit the F key. F key just frames it and lets you rotate around it pretty easily. So we'll get this one. And then we'll get the one below it off the bottom. Way down at the bottom there. Okay, let's go back to object mode and let's get that guy. And we'll add insert edge loop here too as well. Right, let's take a look at this now. Zoom out. And we'll go into object mode again. And we're going to click on all those. And we'll zoom in on just a couple of them here, like this. And we're going to go into mesh, smooth. We're going to do 2. There we go. Fantastic. And then zoom out again and select them all again. And then go to center pivot, delete by type history, freeze transformations. And then we'll turn on the high poly axe again by control 1. There we go. And then we just want to make sure everything looks good. Everything looks okay. The rivets look good and kind of match everything else we have. I think they look good. Yep, I think they match pretty good. Okay, awesome. Alright, so there's the entire finished high poly, and what we'll do is that we'll center that, pivot, and let's go ahead and do this first. Let's go ahead and combine, and then center pivot, delete by type history, and freeze transformations, and now that's our finished piece. That'll be our high poly. Alright, so high poly. Let's go into File, Export Selection, and OBJ. And we're going to click on the battle axe again, and this time we're going to call this high poly. Instead of low poly, we'll do this high poly. Here we go. And click export selection. And then we'll turn that off. Nope. And then we'll turn on, I don't know if we did the high poly dagger, did we? I don't think there's any rivets in here. If there's anything you would like to add to this, like if you would like to put something that would be inside here, kind of a decorative thing, that would be cool. But it's up to you, but I'm just going to go ahead and send this out as is. Again, I'm going to do one last thing, center pivot, and do all these, and then go to File, Export Selection, OBJ, go back in here, and we're going to do the dagger. This time we'll put high poly in here. Okay. And export selection. And we are finished with the modeling. So I'm going to go to File, Save As, and this will be our last scene. Okay. And save. Okay, so I don't think I'm going to make more Substance Painter videos. I showed you how to use Substance Painter. You're going to do exactly the same thing. So I put the food can Substance Painter videos back into this module. So you watch those again if you need help with how to import your objects. You know how to use UDIMs in there. You know, we only had 2 last time. Now you have, I think you have 4 on this one and then 5 on the other one. So watch those videos again if you need to. If I have, if I decide, if I have time to make more videos on adding materials, so what you're trying to do is you're trying to match the materials to these materials that you see here. Okay, you're not going to be able to get exact, and in fact I'm going to try to do my best to see if I can help you guys with materials, okay, or share the materials that I used. I'm not going to guarantee I can do that. It really depends on a lot of things, but whatever I can share I will. And so look for those. Okay, it'll be like a download, and I'll have it on there, substance material download. So look for those, and I wish you the best of luck. I'll have some examples, so look for those and what I end up coming up with. And you know what? I'm okay with you experimenting with your material, but I mean, as far as the handle goes, but I do want you to try to follow the best you can with the metals, and I know you guys can find those metals pretty easily. And I do want you to follow this as close as you possibly can, okay, as far as materials go. So good luck, have fun, and enjoy looking. And again, you can find materials on Substance Source and Substance Share. Now, Substance Share is the one that's free, okay? So remember that Substance Share materials are free, and Substance Source materials, it's a subscription. So. And you can also look for Substance Painter, like type in Substance Painter Smart Materials or Substance Painter Materials, and sometimes you can find that stuff for free. So anyway, good luck and have fun, and I'll see you guys soon.